Hey, listen, glad you could be here. So, I want to talk to you today about how you get your funds frozen. I didn't say how your funds get frozen, how you get your funds frozen, right? In particular, we're talking about payment processing. In 99% of the cases that I've seen so far, it is always at the fault of the business owner or the responsibility, right? No one wants to be blamed, right? No, I don't want to point a finger at anyone. I think a lot of times the reason your funds get held is because it's just a lack of knowledge, a lack of information. And in most businesses that I've seen, in the first 2 to 3 years, they're just throwing things on the wall, hoping that they stick, right? And what I want to do is prevent that from happening. Instead of just throwing things on the wall, hoping that they stick, maybe we can avoid some of those trial by error type of months and years and get it right from the jump, right? So let's talk about how you get your funds frozen. And as you know, we hear something very popular online where everything is your fault, right? People are saying everything is your fault. You have to take responsibility for everything, the house you live in, the car you live in. And if that is the case, right, the type of life that you have, if that is the case, if these entrepreneurs or these people who are saying that it is your responsibility for everything that happens in your life, then it has to be the same for business as well. So, first step to resolving something is taking responsibility, whether it be your fault or not, taking some level of responsibility. Entrepreneurs that kill their business because of a few reasons. Sometimes it's just being short-minded. We come up with these quick ways to make money, right? Maybe we hack a particular website or another funnel and not understanding that that particular funnel, even though it may seem to be successful, maybe it really hasn't been successful. Maybe it's just a money grab, right? Maybe it's a month-long program that may not last longer than 30 days. And so we have this short-term minded kind of outlook about the business. And then another case is not setting the business up properly, right? This is another way entrepreneurs kill their business. They don't set it up properly. No company email, they're using Gmail, Yahoo, no EIN, it's not registered properly. They're just basically creating any kind of business name that they want, like literally speaking. So, it may be a sole proprietorship, which you can use with your social security number. And then they'll go out and get a bank account. And then when they set up a payment processing account, they'll say, the name of my business is ABC Liquors or ABC Business or, Ecom Hustle or something like that. And it's like, wait a minute, where is this name registered at? Is it registered anywhere in America? No, it is not. So it's almost like sometimes they're just basically, it's like they give the payment processor or the underwriter in particular a jigsaw puzzle and say, put my business together for me. Not a good way to start. Now, if you go to a high-risk payment aggregator, for example, like a Stripe or a PayPal, it's easy to set up. You can get that set up in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes. Will you get your funds after that? Maybe not. More than likely not, because they still have to underwrite it, and if things don't match up, you will get your funds held. If you want a long-term business, you want this to be set up right from the jump, from the onset. And so we have this fast cash kind of mindset. And then sometimes another way entrepreneurs kill their business is it's not a proven business model. Like, in order to prove out your business model, and you got to start somewhere, you need sales. You absolutely need sales. 10, 20, 30, 40 sales. Sometimes what we see is an entrepreneur will take a course and someone tells them, charge high tickets, right? And then they go out and they do that without really having fulfillment, without having a ton of other things set up. And that is another way that entrepreneurs kill their business. Another thing that happens is once entrepreneurs do get going, sometimes they get a ton of chargebacks, right? And they could be for various reasons. The chargebacks could be because maybe the product wasn't as described. Maybe it was due to someone using a fraudulent credit card. Maybe it was shipped to the wrong location. Maybe it wasn't shipped at all. Maybe it took too long because Amazon has everyone spoiled now, thinking that the product should be delivered that day or the next day or within 2 days. And on your website, you say that you would deliver your product in 7 days, but really, it takes 45 days, right? Because it's coming from another country. And then when the product arrives, it looks like it costs $1, but you're selling it for 40 to 80 bucks, right? Or it could be a coaching program where you're selling this high ticket program, but you really haven't proven it out. You don't have the business skills to actually charge that. So that's another way that entrepreneurs kill their business. Now, another thing is fraud, right? There's chargebacks that come in various forms. You can have chargebacks for some of the things I just described, and there are more reasons, but then also some of your chargebacks could be considered fraud, where they say, you know what, it wasn't me. Someone walked in my house, walked in my pocket or went in my pocket, went in my wallet, took my credit card out, or got it somewhere on the internet and just ran up the sale. Or they say that you misrepresented what you're actually selling, right? And so another thing that happens is, and this is why I say it's how do you get your funds held, entrepreneurs that don't pay attention to these things, it will eventually catch up to them. So you can easily look at your chargebacks and say, what do I need to tweak here, right? You can look at the fraud that you're getting and say, am I selling to the wrong people? Am I selling to various countries I shouldn't be selling to? Am I selling to people in the wrong way? Am I promoting and marketing in a way where I'm flashy, right? And I really don't have any substance in my business because it's all flash, it's not anything long term. That's another thing that we as entrepreneurs, you and I need to look at, is we need to pay attention to what's happening in our business, and we can reduce our chargebacks without including anyone else. We can reduce the amount of fraud we have without including anyone else, right? And then whatever else happens outside of our control, we can work on that, but you gotta pay attention, right? So another thing is that when you get chargebacks, it used to be that the card brands would allow over 1% in chargebacks before they consider it a problem. Now it's 0.90%, right? I know that's tough. That is absolutely tough, because let's say if you have 100 transactions and you get one chargeback, you're already at 1%, right? And let's say you have 10 transactions because you have a high ticket program. Now, and you get one chargeback, you're at 10%. Right? So imagine if you're a high ticket kind of person or a high ticket business and you have 10 transactions coming in at, let's say $10,000 per transaction, you get one chargeback, that's 10%. Let's say you have 5 transactions coming in at $20,000 per person, you get one chargeback, you're at 20%. So that's another thing that can actually cause issues in your business. Same thing with fraud, right? Chargebacks that come in and are flagged as fraud, unfortunately, have a higher chance of being flagged or having your business interrupted, because the card brands have a fiduciary responsibility to the card holders, right? If I go and apply for a card from Chase or Bank of America, and you as an entrepreneur do the same thing, and your clients do the same thing, when they go and apply for credit cards at these various institutions, they expect the credit card issuer to protect them in some way, right? From business owners who don't run their businesses properly or who are taking advantage of clients. So those fraud chargebacks really stand out more than anything, because it could mean that the card holder is being taken advantage of. And again, you and I, when we apply for these particular credit cards, sometimes we put up money to build up our credit, to start a credit card line. We want to be protected, and you and I both have created chargebacks in our lifetime. And I'll be honest with you, I've created chargebacks myself in some cases where I purchased products, never received the product, called again and again and again and again and again, no response whatsoever. Next thing you know, I found out that my card was used for some fraudulent website. So I had to create a chargeback. I couldn't get it. And I knew the actual business owner, but I couldn't get in contact with the business owner for 60, 90 days, right? So you have to keep that in mind as well. Putting a stop payment on your bank account is another way that you can have your funds held. And I've seen this happen many times, where someone starts getting a lot of chargebacks, maybe they get a lot of fraud, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to pay the remainder of fees that come in from chargebacks, because it's their clients that's creating the chargebacks. It is your clients that's creating the chargebacks, but you don't want to pay the fee. So what some business owners do, especially those new business owners who haven't been in business that long, they will put a stop payment on their bank account because they don't want to pay the fees, right? They just feel like they're being done wrong. I don't know how they feel like they're being done wrong, but some kind of way they feel like they're being done wrong. And so they put a stop payment on the bank account. And so now that is fraud. Now you're sort of committing fraud, because you're telling Visa, MasterCard, hey, listen, I sold products. When the products sell and I get my money, that's great. But when my clients have an issue, I don't want to pay it. I don't want to give them the money back because I just don't want to give them the money back. That is causing a problem. Another thing is that, what did you do as an entrepreneur to get a lot of chargebacks? How are you marketing? What's on your website? Are you funnel hacking other websites and then just taking pretty much what they say, changing the colors, changing the size of the words, maybe tweak one thing here and there, and then just selling from there? Maybe that particular entrepreneur already has 3% chargebacks, and now you're basically hacking what they're doing without understanding the numbers in their business, And so sometimes people say, listen, I haven't done anything. And maybe that's a reason why you're getting chargebacks, is because of how you're operating the business or what you've copied or what you've hacked. Same thing with fraud, right? When you're hacking other people's sites, trying to mimic their success, how do you know where they're promoting? How do you know if the method that they're using is a long-term method? Especially on social media today, a lot of entrepreneurs rather promote with flash, a ton of really flashy stuff. And you probably want to stay away from that, because if you're promoting with flash, you know, fancy cars, jewelry, and just material items, that's good to an extent. But most of the people who are going to be attracted to you don't have money. People who have money don't care about those things. People who have money see many of those things as being insignificant. When you first, and myself included, when you first come across wealth, it's new to you. So you want to show the world, hey, listen, I'm successful now. Look at what I have, and you can be too. And you're going to attract people just like you. Just like you. But the people who have means, who have wealth, who built businesses, who've been around for a while, they've already been there and done that, and they see no value in it. And then another way that entrepreneurs are responsible for having their funds held is because they don't communicate with the underwriter. They don't communicate with the operations team, right? I remember a very specific case where an entrepreneur began getting quite a few chargebacks and fraud, up to 6 and 7% as a matter of fact. And the underwriters and risk analysts were consistently reaching out to this particular entrepreneur for weeks, could not get in contact with the entrepreneur, which is a major flag, which could also get the FTC involved, which the FTC, they did peek into what was going on, and the actual processor themselves could get in huge trouble, fines and all kinds of other things. So that's another way that entrepreneurs have their funds held, is because they don't communicate, because they're not, you know, sometimes if you're not going to be operating in your business, then you need to have someone else who is, right? And I know that especially in the first few years, we're so busy marketing and selling that we're not actually operating the business. And so what happens in that case is the funds get held. All of the funds get held because the processor doesn't know what to do. They can't communicate with you. You don't understand your chargebacks. You don't understand your fraud. When your funds get held, you have no cash flow. So that could really put a dent in your business. And I know some people say just have multiple merchant accounts. That is also a flag and will also bring a lot of attention to you. You know, you can have the account shut down, and once your account is shut down, sometimes you create some more chargebacks, because especially if you don't have communication, and especially if there's a gateway involved, and now you can't get access to that gateway. And this is why it's super important to consistently communicate. And this is something that you learn over time. Sometimes it takes people at least 3 years to kind of figure this out. But again, the purpose of this is to say, hey, there is another way, right? There's another strategy where you don't have to make mistakes for 3 years in a row and burn a ton of payment processing accounts just to figure out how to actually have good performance in your business. And another thing that can happen, that I've seen actually happen, is that the US government goes after the person, right? So what they'll do is they go after the particular entrepreneur, and hopefully the payment processor has done everything that they should have done, because the payment processor, sometimes whether they like it or not, whether they've done everything correct or not, can also receive fines, but then entrepreneur can also go to jail and or receive penalties, which I've seen happen. So you can scale through the roof if you run your business efficiently. You can do this the hard way by burning through a ton of merchant accounts like I mentioned earlier, or you can learn the fundamentals of running a business from the onset. So hopefully this was helpful. Make sure that you subscribe below. There may be another video or two here that you can watch. Let me know what you think in the comments, if this was helpful or not, or if there are any questions that you may have. And if you have something that you want to learn for the next video, let me know as well. Thanks for tuning in. Be good.